Each day for 4 days, Linda traveled for 1 hour at a speed that resulted in her traveling 1 mile in an integer number of minutes. Each day after the first, her speed decreased so that the number of minutes to travel 1 mile increased by 5 minutes over the preceding day. Each of the 4 days, her distance traveled was also an integer number of miles. What was the total number of miles for the 4 trips? Okay. Okay, 1 mile in an integer number of minutes. Each day after the first. Each day after the first. Let's say the time it takes her to travel a mile is x. Her speed decreased. So the number of minutes to travel 1 mile increased by 5 minutes over the preceding day. So this took x plus 5, this took x plus 10, this took x plus 15. Each of the 4 days her distance traveled was also an integer number of miles. What was the total number of miles for the 4 trips? Okay, and she's going for 1 hour. Speed decreased. So I mean, if it took her 15 minutes to do a mile, this is key. Each of the 4 days, her distance traveled was also an integer number of miles. So she would have traveled 4 miles here. In this case, 20, she would have traveled 3 miles. In this case, this is 25 though. And if it took her 25 minutes to do 1 mile, she wouldn't travel an integer number of miles. Right? And there's no way let's say if it took her 20 minutes, then this takes her 25 minutes. As soon as we get to that 25, it's no good. And I think the number of minutes needs to be a factor of 5. So for example, if she went a mile in 5 minutes, then she went 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. All of these are going to result in an integer number of miles. And there's no other way, because we started with 10 here, we would get to 25 on day 4. And it's not possible to do 0. So in this case, if she does a 5-minute mile, and over the course of an hour, 5-minute mile, 5 times 12, 60 divided by 5 is 12, so 12 miles. She did a 10-minute mile, 60 divided by 10, 6 miles. She did a 15-minute mile, 60 divided by 15, 4 miles. 20-minute mile, 60 divided by 20, 3 miles. Add these up, we get 25. Total. And thinking about just going back to the idea that this has to be a multiple of 5. Because if it's not a multiple of 5, then like if this were 6 or 7, yeah, like let's say this were 6, then the next one would be 11, and then 16, and then 21. All these numbers are not going to go into, the key thing is for all these numbers to go into 60. And we don't have that guarantee. That's not true if this were 7, 12, right? The key is for these numbers to go into 60, and we don't have that guarantee when this number is not a multiple of 5. So what was the total number of miles for the 4 trips? Yeah, I say 25. We'll go with choice C. Choice C is correct.